Welcome, and I'm here today to talk to you about mowing and rolling, and this is a study that we actually initiated last year. Let's take a step back, and this green, I don't know if Brian talked about it or not, this green was established last year, and this portion of it was sodded with POA sod from Bossod up in Canada. So we sodded it on May 7th, and last year the trial began on July 15th. And again, this year we initiated it on the same date just so that we could be similar from year to year. Maintenance practices. Last year, I will say, because it was a new young turf, we actually spent a little bit more time babying it. So we top dressed weekly last year trying to smooth it out. We also fertilized weekly with about 0.15 pounds of N on a weekly basis. So we really kind of babied it through the season last year. This year, obviously a year older, more mature stand. The fertilizer was probably about every 10 to 14 days, top dressing every other week. And I would say that overall, while I don't have the numbers, we've definitely seen a lot bigger increases in green speeds this year just because of a little less inputs. So going back, what do we have here? So you have 10 treatments in front of you. If you start on either side here, we start off with mowing and rolling, or just mowing daily, which are kind of our checks on Monday, or on treatments 1 and 2. Treatments 3 and 4 are mowing daily, rolling Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you're rolling 3 times a week. Treatments 5 and 6 are mowing daily, rolling daily. So mowing and rolling both daily. Treatments 7 and 8, a little bit different. Rolling daily, and then mowing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So you're only mowing 4 times a week. Treatments 9 and 10 are alternating mowing and rolling. All right? So the other thing... No, I can't. I got through it. What are you doing to me? The other thing that you'll see on there on the bottom of the sheet is that we have a gas or electric roller. We have on the carts, you have the electric rollers and the gas roller from Smithco. The gas roller weighs about 650 pounds. The electric roller about 1,100 pounds. So about 450 pounds heavier with the electric roller just because of its, it's kind of a bulkiness. So we had 2 different rollers. So, we wanted to compare, was there any difference between the gas and the electric roller? To add in one other level of complexity, we have 3 reps. One half of it got Primo at 1/10 of an ounce weekly. The other half received no Primo. So that's why we have the 10 treatments duplicated. Primo, no Primo, but the same treatments over that time period. So what we do, mowing heights, we're at 0.15. I know you guys are going, what the hell, that's not realistic. 0.15, all right? And I'll start talking about green speeds here in just a second. So we're at 0.15. Mowing height, as far as that goes, what we would normally do with our practices, we would, first thing in the morning, we started at 8, they'd get out here, they would mow the plots, they would roll the designated treatments on that day, and then we would take a stint meter rating in both directions at 9 a.m. and then again in the afternoon at 2 p.m. So we wanted to see if there were any differences or drop off from morning to afternoon as well. So what I can give you first off is data from last year. So data from last year, if we look at the treatments, if you look at mowing daily, if you use that as kind of your baseline, we then look at alternating mowing and rolling, if you want to call it the next step up, and we only saw an increase about 3-4 inches. Research has been done saying most golfers can't tell the difference between 3 or 4 inches, so not going to be really different or significantly different from the mowing daily. But the one thing I would say is by alternating mowing and rolling, you are reducing stress from the mowing and obviously still achieving the ball speeds that you're after. The next treatment that would have been intermediate, that were very similar are the rolling daily, mowing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then mowing daily and rolling 3 times a week. Those were pretty close, and they were about 15, 16 inches increase as far as green speeds compared to the mow daily. And then the treatments in between, or the highest treatment, was the mow daily, roll daily. We gained about 2 feet. Now, the premise comes back is, why were we doing this? Well, Tom Nicolai at Michigan State, kind of the green speed guy, the doctor, you see him everywhere. He did a lot of work on bent grass, but he didn't do anything with POA. And he and I were talking, and he said it'd be really interesting to see. He goes, I've had different reports that we see different things on POA. Well, our data actually, if you go back and look at what we found, and you take our same 5 treatments and his same 5 treatments, our data pretty much almost mirrors one another as far as increases in green speed. So the good news is if you have a mixed stand, you're probably going to see similar results versus, you know, pure POA stand versus a pure bent grass stand.
How about the late afternoon? Same data?
Now, late afternoon, what we have found for the most part is that we didn't see a significant drop off. It was less than 6 inches drop off from morning to afternoon on our trials. So we didn't see that drop off. Now, some people have said, well, if you go out later in the day, I have men's leagues or leagues bet late in the day or whatever, you know, I think there's a drop off. Well, you know, I'm only capable of doing so much, and you got students that took over, I think we took over 15,000 stit meter ratings this summer that I don't think I could get them to stay. Student torture. That's about it. That's about it. So, the other thing is, a couple things. Electric versus gas rollers. You know, okay, we have 450 pound or heavier roller, 450 pound roller. You know, you might think, well, more firmer surface, more increase in ball roll speed. We didn't see a difference between the rollers. In fact, you know, I know a lot of guys are using the True Turf, yeah. And again, it's the lightest roller out there. Again, I would say obviously that we don't see the added benefits with the heavier roller from that standpoint. So the lighter rollers. Now we're hoping, and I know there's a couple of people from Western here, they're working on getting me, and I hopefully will have it either later this year or first of next, a True Turf to start doing other trials. This is the second year of the study, and we're going to be done with it. We'll write it up. But so I would say if you have some ideas or thoughts on what you might like to see or something a little bit different as far as mowing and rolling or something along those lines, please let me know, because we're going to be looking at obviously continuing with these types of studies as we go forward. So that's a great question. So last year, again, with the younger turf, that's a great question. You know, I talk about those increases. On average, the mowing daily last year was 8. With the mowing and rolling daily, we were about 10. This year, I will tell you, and again, I don't have all the numbers, just snapshots, but we were well over, we were probably closer to 11 this year, and that's at 150. You know, we've had days, this was graded, it's a 1% slope going this way, so we do take them both ways, but there were a number of days this year, or this summer, that we were rolling off the plot, which are 15 feet long. So we were definitely getting some pretty good distances going one way or going downhill, but they definitely increased. You know, I will say, you know, I know a lot of guys, you're probably sitting there going, 0.15, Rob, are you freaking crazy? You know, it's just not even realistic. But what I will say is, you know, the quality of this turf, we didn't have stress, we didn't have disease. I mean, obviously Brian's doing his anthracnose study, and you see just the color variation from 0.15 to 110. And so, you know, you definitely see some differences, and I will say the overall health of this turf is a lot better in the long run.
Do you have a difference on your Primo treated plots from your non-treated?
The question was, did we see a difference in the Primo treated plots and the non-Primo treated plots? And the answer is no. Now, mowing and rolling, it didn't matter whether Primo was there or not. You know, there's a lot of benefits to having Primo. I think there's a lot of reasons for putting Primo down, but when it comes to ball roll distance, we didn't see a difference whether it was treated or untreated, and that was across the board. And so, and we kind of saw something similar. I didn't have this area flagged, and I think it's on page 24 of your handout. That's a Primo study where we started off at the beginning of June at 1/10 of an ounce, and we actually escalated the rate every 2 weeks, and more or less increased it 1/10 of an ounce. We actually got up to the point where we actually were applying 0.5 every 2 weeks, and we didn't see any differences. I mean, we just Primo's, you know. It's interesting, you know, Primo's used for a lot of benefits, but it's definitely not one that it's ball roll distance. You know, you get turf quality, you get other things from it, but we're not seeing the ball roll distance. And some people might say, well, it's a growth regulator. Well, the folks at Wisconsin, Doug Soldat and his group, he's got some grad students. They've actually have gone through and collected clippings, and they've actually seen at times, compared to an untreated control, they actually get spikes where they actually have more clippings than the untreated. So, you know, you're still getting some growth there. It might not be vertical growth, but you're still getting some growth, and it could be, you know, maybe the density, you know, might actually be keeping that or maintaining a similar speed. But we're not seeing the differences there with the Primo itself. One thing I will say is Doug Soldat and his group, for those of you that are using Primo, they came up, they looked at different growing degree day models, and they settled in on 200 growing degree days as far as being ideal for Primo, as far as maintaining that consistency and removing that kind of rebound or that up and down type cycle. What they found, or what I found here in the Pacific Northwest, and I guarantee it didn't matter last year or this year, it was every 9 or 10 days spot on we would hit the 200 growing degree days. So if you're looking at your programs and when you might apply it, according to, you know, based off of what they found and based off of the growing degree day model here in Oregon and Washington, it would be every 9 to 10 days that you would go out with your Primo application.
So that's basically for a steady line.
The steady line.
Instead of that up and down.
Absolutely, instead of the cycle. They looked at 100, 200, and 400. I think they even went up to 800, believe it or not. But 200 was the most consistency as far as that goes. Any other questions?
You doing anything for seed head suppression?
We put down last year. That was the other thing. That's a great question. Did we do anything for seed head suppression? Last year we didn't do anything because we had just sodded, so we did have a lot more seed head last year. This year we did do some proxy applications in the springtime, 2 applications. It's interesting though with the you know, with this boss sod, because again, there is no, you know, it's kind of a mixture of POAs that you would, as we've gone through the summer, you would see different areas that tended to seed and others. No different than probably any other of your greens out there. But
ours is seed all the time.
Yeah, I talked to, I got some former students in Montana that they use proxy throughout the whole season. They just don't do a spring apple. They literally are on a proxy application from the springtime through the fall.